A potential new kid on the block. The IPO is opening today. Sheela Foam. They sell mattresses under the Sleepwell brand. I'm sure a lot of people get out and buy those companies buy those mattresses too. So let's get in the promoter of the company, the director of the company, Mr. Tushaar Gautam. He's director of operations of Sheela Foam. Joins us right now to talk about the issue. What is it they're likely to do going ahead as well? Good having you, Tushaar. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having us.
So everybody knows about Sleepwell. Tell us about the company. I mean, how has been the last few years? Why should investors subscribe to this IPO?
So the company was actually started by my grandmother. Sheela is her name, about 45 years ago.
Wow.
Along with my father. And of course, all the growth has happened post 1991. Last few years have been good. CAGR of about 14%, top line. Bottom line about 50%. That's the last 5 years or so. So it's a strong consumption story, large unorganized market, a lot of headroom for growth. So we see a big positive moving forward.
But you don't see competition from some of the Chinese manufacturers?
No, it's actually a very bulky product to move around. So very, very negative on the import side. So it's very difficult to import globally. It's basically to be made locally.
Okay. What about how you're going to utilize the funds that you raise from the IPO?
So this is a pure OFS, secondary. So none of the money is going into the company.
But what's the game plan like? I mean, do you as a company, by virtue of the cash flows that you might be generating, sufficient on the funding for the next few years, or at some point of time you will come back to the equity markets as well? Because as you said, this doesn't get the company anything.
Yeah. So in terms of cash flow, there's significant cash flow generation in the company, virtually no debt. So in terms of growth plans of the company, we don't need the money. Wow. There is a RBI regulation of a minimum 25% dilution. So the next 3 years we'll be needing to do that.
Has the currency demonetization impacted business for you?
It's impacted a little bit.
It has.
Not as bad as everyone is saying. First 3 or 4 days were pretty bad. But we're seeing significant improvement as the days go by. It's basically a liquidity issue for us. So the moment liquidity in the system is fine, it's going to be okay. But not as bad as we've heard.
Okay. Yours is a rather unorganized market. So what kind of a market share does Sleepwell enjoy? Or is there a parameter like that you go by?
So 70% of the country is still sleeping on cotton and some type of chatais and things like that. Of the other 30%, 30% is organized and the other 70% is still unorganized. And in the organized segment, we have the largest market share, about 23%. The next largest competitor is around 18%. And then you have various regional competitors, 2, 3, 4% of that market.
Now, as I read, while mattresses is your bread and butter business, you also manufacture other products. So what's the bifurcation there? And what's, to your mind internally, how would the growth rates for these different segments shape up for you?
So about 55 to 60% of the top line is from the mattress business. Another 20% is from the furniture side. And another 20% is B2B, which is the technical forms which go into automotive and generators and sound absorption and shoes and things like that. And in terms of growth, see the B2B side, we're dependent on the user industry. As that grows, we'll grow. The mattress side has the most headroom, for sure. And
you foresee that for the next 3 to 5 years, mattresses will continue to be the largest pie of your business?
Absolutely, and growing the fastest.
And growing the fastest.
Which is 15%.
55%.
No, okay, but I heard you mention that your top line over the last 5 years, CAGR, the top line has grown about 15%.
Correct.
So, so then if your bread and butter business is, what did you mention the growth rate was for the mattresses business?
So mattress business would be about 15%. So if I look at the last 5 years, all the businesses have grown about the same.
That's what I'm asking. Okay.
But moving forward, we expect the mattress to grow the fastest.
And which is, to what rates, if you can just repeat?
So would be, I'm a little constrained to talk about the future given where we are in the IPO process.
An exact profit number, but you reckon 15% growth rates would be?
At the least.
At the least. Okay, great. My last question to you would be, what about your expansion plans as they come up? Because you have negligible debt. In all probability, if you need to take expansion plans, you wouldn't need the equity route, which is you would probably need the debt route,
right.
which is great news for an equity investor, by the way.
Right.
But is there something on the anvil over the course of the next 3 years which brings in additional growth, not just the normal growth which you're anyway seeing, but additional growth via kicking in more capacities?
So from a capacity perspective, because the product is bulky, we already have 11 manufacturing units. We need to be closer to the markets.
And
so
they are running at full capacity.
No, capacity utilization would be less than 30%.
Oh.
Because the reason for locating a manufacturing unit is not really capacity, it's distance from markets. So transportation costs are huge. So once you have installed capacity, it's never really utilized.
If everything is so hunky-dory, why is it that somebody wants to sell out?
So it's not really sell out. So my grandmother, like I mentioned, she started the company. She is about 85 years old. She's also been a member of parliament for 4 times. She is now wanting to do a lot in her constituency in philanthropy. So we're going to use
raising money.